Okay, well, welcome everyone to this. Um, I'm so excited to be here with Diane Gribbin, and so delighted that just this morning I was again looking at everything you're creating, and I was just feeling like, oof, it's so essential to be in this conversation, and I'm so wanting the conversation with people who are like yourself approaching our earth from this level of deep care for earth. Deep, I think you wrote something in your piece about self-care is earth care, so this interweaving, that's really like my heart too, is just how we move into this. I will say too, how we move into this new kind of, I say, becoming the eco sapien, um in a way that feels celebratory, in a way that feels like it's nourishing to us as well as the earth. And I feel that with what you're doing. So I was just like, I want my community to hear about what you're doing and hear about you. And it was fun too, because I've been wanting to do my first YouTube. It will become a podcast too for Earth Sky Women. So I thought, what better way to open than with you? So so this is just to know, this is Diane Gribbin that I'm speaking with today. I'm so deeply moved to be with her. And I'm going to share a little bit, Diane, about you from your bio, but oh my gosh, it's so much. So Diane is this incredible Earth Sky woman on the level that she's bridging so many worlds. You were a river guide for years, is that right?
That's right. Yeah, in
Okay,
the
yeah.
Arctic. Yeah, over a decade.
Okay, yeah. So you had that as one layer. And she has this beautiful home. What is it called? Heartwood? What is the name of your retreat center?
Yeah, it's HeartWood Healing Arts Center. So it's an eco-wellness center for healing arts and sustainable living.
Beautiful. And lives in Wakefield, Quebec. But Diana, is this right that you've interwoven your experience as in what people would refer to as rewilding now, or it's just really a deep connection to the earth, and also to really living in a way that's more ecologically sustainable. And also, what I know of you from our fellow dear friends and community members is that you are a community gatherer. You're someone who gathers women of heart who care about the earth, who also care about self-care, and and that you're someone who I think at this time, in what we might refer to as the age of Aquarius, or however you want to say it, that you're weaving in so many elements that we're all kind of wanting and longing to bring together, which again is this the collective experience, the reweaving of our bonds with each other and reweaving with the bond with the earth. And also that I love, again, I often feel that with the environmental movements, our elders have done so much powerful work before us. And we're being asked, I think, to create a new field of energy around this, again, that's healing, that's celebratory, that balances the grief with praise. It feels to me like you're doing that. And I just want to say also the somatic work that you're doing. You're also doing somatic work. So I'm not reading from your bio because I just want to be really here with you. And I'm gonna include links to that so people can learn about you. Um, but yeah, this is just something from the heart that connects me with what you're doing. So just with that, Diane, what, um, first of all, actually, I was going to ask you, you live in Quebec. Who are the original peoples who lived there? And can you tell us a little bit about the land where you live and what you love about it?
Yeah. Oh, yes. I feel like such an extension of this landscape. I live on traditional Algonquin territory. And really, where I live, it's quite incredible because three great rivers come together
Mm.
in Ottawa, right at the nation's capital and capital of Canada. And I was sitting there many, many years ago by the Parliament buildings, and I realized three rivers meet here. Of course, this was always a gathering space, like those highways that come together. And it rolls into the sort of the flatlands of the St. Lawrence that go into the Atlantic, but then coming this way, moving a little further north on the Quebec side, you get into these rolling hills, like the ancient mountains, and so that's where I live in more of that rugged area, but a really special place on earth because, just 25 minutes from the city center, 7 kilometers from a beautiful little village on a river in a little town called Wakefield. We're almost in the wilderness here. You know, we have just all the way north is open wild space, and that's really unique to be able to have that to anchor into, and especially doing work to reintegrate and, you know, be the bridge of love for so many. I feel very supported by this landscape, so I'm absolutely feel gratitude every day for where I live. I feel like
That's
I need to be by water and
yeah,
supported by nature to do its
yeah,
work.
absolutely. Yes, and I just love I love feeling how much you love the earth, the land there specifically, and how it feeds and nourishes you. And I think that that's something that we all need, especially with the depth of work you do, that you know how to tune into and tap into that, align yourself with that. Um, there's just so much I want to ask you. Um, I'm going to start though, just by saying it, what if there's anything you think people you would want for people to know about you before we dive right into some other pieces of what you're creating, what would
Mm.
that be? Something that they would want to know about who you are and how you got to where you are today. How did you get here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, just like sort of feeling into the we space here, and I'm loving how you're holding this space of staying here now with what wants to come through, and that's how I love to hold space too and share space too. And you know, breathing into my heart, what wants to come through is basically love, is letting love win, which is the name of my community, which is also the spirit behind the challenge that I'm offering for Earth Day, the free 5-day challenge. And it's really letting, because it's like an allowing. And I often come to the word of melting, like a melting through to what's natural, a melting through to health that wants to be, you know,
Mm,
our essence, our expression that wants to come through, and that it's not about, you know, going out, and the answers are within us.
mm,
The health is within us. The gifts are within us to give easily.
mm,
And coming home to, you know, belonging and ease and flow is really about being here now, and everything that may come up
mm,
when we invite ourselves home to here now. And that is my absolute passionate work, is
mm,
feeling into being with. I would say that is what I've discovered is my superpower, is being able to be fully present with someone or in a space or in a community, and be able to feel where we need reconnection, and be able
mm.
to support us to reconnect ourselves naturally, right? And so that would be what, you know, what wants to go through now is the work that reconnects,
Mm,
and that learning to be a loving presence within ourselves, and helps us to be a loving presence for others, helps us to ripple that love and have a loving relationship with everything that we perceive to be outside of ourselves. And that feels like to me to be in my river, you know, in my river metaphors, to be the highest upstream place to work, is that interweaving and that melting through to
Ooh,
more flow, right?
yeah.
Natural flow.
Oh, beautiful. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The highest point in the watershed. I love that you say that because what I feel in you when you're speaking is such a deep, again, a wovenness with the lands that have informed who you are and how you see things. And yeah, that highest point in the watershed, that's where the magic happens. That's where so much restoration can happen, right? Like, and yeah, to see and feel that for us as a human species and collective. I love the melting. That feels so true to me, that that's what's needed, the melting into that. And then also just a few things. And just really feeling that, you know, the work that reconnects, of course, that's I am guessing, not that we need to I mean, Joanna Macy's work, of course, is so deep around all of that, as someone who might inform even that phrasing, but that work to reconnect in such a real, vivid, visceral level, um, that you know how to. move into that and tune into that is so powerful. And part of what I feel when I'm sitting with you um, is that, again, even thinking about your day to day, I reached out to you this morning and you're like, yeah, I've got like this little window because you're full because you're doing so much, so many beautiful things. And as we're speaking too, I feel that momentum, like you're in a momentum space. And when you're creating a lot, what I've noticed for myself is that when I'm in a place of momentum, you really have to be in such trust and flow, and you've got to move from one to the next, to the next, to the next, and you kind of can't stop yourself. Does that feel true? Or how is that for you? That's kind of what I've been noticing. Like if you're going to create a lot, you start needing to trust yourself and not let your mind hijack forward movement. So I guess
Mm,
that's what I feel with you, but I'm curious, how do you do that? Or
yeah.
yeah, how do you do that? Or do you do that?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. I think that's a really important question because a lot of what comes up for us is where, where we meet sort of aspects of ourselves, self states that are, saying it's not safe, it's not safe to move
Yeah,
forward, or it's not safe to move forward and not know, or
right.
let's just stay safe. And there are all these beautiful
Mm,
evolutionary adaptations and often unconscious we create that, yeah, we just want to keep us safe
yeah.
and I think that is important and there's a beautiful intelligence there. And I think that starting to align with, the forward moving flow, also, which I'm used to reading as a river guide on like long
Exactly.
expeditions, right? Don't get sucked down the side channels and where's most of the water going and can I surrender to it, not knowing. So it's that feminine
Mm,
of being okay or learning to trust in the unknown, but saying, feeling that full body yes, and that's our practice, right? Is where are we like a yes? So I got that message from you, and I just had a full embodied yes. So I think, well,
mm.
I know this wants to happen today, so there must be a way, right? Not knowing, and it's almost like running down a hill, and you trust that you're,
Right.
that you're and then at the same time, it's still interweaving for me of I am available, I am available for the work that needs to happen, that is in me to give, right? I've learned that. I
Mm,
think so many of us,
mhm,
and especially wild-hearted humans, we learn that it has to become like the water cycle. We
mm,
and often if our drivers are fear-based, it also can be depleting us. And so that's why it's so important to me, the earth care, self-care, because my gifts are in me to give, so it
mm,
is up to me to practice and fail forward and feel into, how and refine that. And at the same time, if it's in me to give, then it also sustains me and it fuels me. And I've been on the other side of that, working outside, reaching outside of myself, and how exhausting that can be.
mm,
Um, and always being able to trace that back to, original places of separation,
mm, mhm.
that need presencing and that need love.
Yeah.
And so, and I also have my greatest teachers of all the incredible teachers I've had are my two little ones. My son and my daughter who are only 18 months apart,
Mm.
and they're just turned 7, or I mean 7 and just turned 9, and they are an amazing anchor to the moment, right?
Ah.
So no matter how much momentum, I feel like I have. I'm in my flow. My flow is, anchored in this moment.
Mm.
The planets that are closest to me, and how they're mirroring, how I'm fully here or not, And
Mm.
so it's a dance. It's a dance of, am I here now?
Yeah.
Am I
Am
here
I here
now?
now?
Where am I coming from? Where am I coming from on this? Is it from my
Mm.
heart or is it from a place that of fear that needs loving attention? And it is a dance and a
Yeah.
practice, for sure.
Yeah. Oof, yeah, I feel that. And everything that you're saying is just like what I feel first off is just a friendliness. It's a cultivated friendliness that you've developed around those other areas to include all of it.
Mhm.
And and it's so interesting and beautiful because Even when I was seeing your outfit today, I'm like, oh, she's wearing blue. And I've been connecting so much with Mary and with this great mother presence lately, and just how she's really coming alive and coming online, I think, in the psyche of the collective. Um, and the woman in blue isn't it, it's just that blue color is so healing, beyond that archetype. Um, but there's this feeling, I think so many of us we're in a place of wanting to learn again that concept of inclusivity and friendliness to what is in the moment. And yeah, so I love seeing that that's a practice you've been cultivating. Um, and you do Tai Chi, right? So is that part of how you, so your river guide experience, I can see and feel how that, and your connection to the land, that's part of what roots you, your children, your little ones. And then you've also been a practitioner of Qigong or Tai Chi for the last how many years?
Qigong, yeah, Qigong.
Qigong. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like, as we commit to this work, and really bringing a loving presence to and awareness, growing awareness like water, right? Like the universal solvent that just starts to feel into our places of separation that want to come home, that want to integrate, so we can really unleash more love and life,
Yeah.
availability, intimacy, all of it. You know, I feel I feel that we need to be resourced to be able to meet what's
Mhm.
hard, or
Mhm.
to be able to bridge places in us that come from a time of almost like a conscious or unconscious, like a never again. Never want to feel like that again, or never want to
Yes.
be alone again, or and and we need vitality to be able to stay with what's uncomfortable,
Mhm.
for it to melt. It's almost like sitting next to that, the iceberg, and it's just by being with it, it's so slowly melting. And you need energy for that. And
Yeah.
so, um, I really believe we need ways to cultivate vitality,
Mm.
especially as people that are, really offering ourselves, in offering our love, offering, just offering ourselves to be of service at a time when we need it so much. And those of us that are, offering to be the bridge, in a time of such great polarity and
Yeah.
separation. So Qigong is something for me that I found during my master's degree, 2004, I think it was. I was, somebody, a colleague that I was working with, said, let's do some qigong, and I had, I just like pressure in my head I was describing, and he said, yeah, let's go do some qigong, and we did maybe 5 minutes of qigong with him, and just just the pressure released, and I felt I had energy again, and I thought, okay, what was that? I need more of that. And so I definitely, when I came home, after a lot of field work, a lot of time, a lot of energy out, I found a Qigong master and practiced with him, and very soon was training with him. And we're still very good, friends today. And now I'm very fortunate to work with his master. And so at HeartWood, one of the things that we do here is offer Qigong classes, offer online Qigong, and I run, which I think is really important, is to create more, you know, people that share the vitality. And
Yeah.
so I have a international Qigong instructor certification program, to create more instructors. So Qigong is, it's another practice of it's ancient embodied movement, that helps us to connect to our own, untapped vitality and health. Helps us to keep things, the softness is flow. So as we relax, we are open to receiving more, open to allowing more to flow through us. But it's just incredible for increasing vitality. And I've just had amazing experience with that. And um, there's one movement that I just share with almost everyone I meet because we need energy at this time, and that's,
Yeah.
is energy gathering, exercise that is so
Mhm.
ancient and is designed for us to, open ourselves and be able to know that in any moment there's a vastness that's okay and healthy
Yeah.
that wants to reach us, so
Wow.
it's simple, beautiful, and slow, which brings up important illumination for people, because like a lot of us need different things and we're asked to slow down and move through life slowly. And so it's also a great illuminator, because we start to witness what comes up as we want to keep that momentum that you brought up, right? So Qigong is a beautiful
Mm,
way to grow awareness and increase vitality, and it's a big part of my life. It's what
mm.
helps
Yeah.
to keep me
Mm.
resourced. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for that. That is so potent, so much of what you're saying, and beautiful that you have that practice. I'm curious, the one you share with everyone, how long is that practice? How long
You
does
know
it
what?
take?
It is. It's as part of it's a part of the 5-day challenge,
Ah, okay.
and it is movement to increase vitality. It's like a 2-minute thing. It's up
Brilliant.
to you how long you do it. And I like to approach it as every drop counts. So if I have 2 minutes while I'm waiting for the bus, and, don't mind sparking curiosity in the other people, or I'm, waiting for something, or I'm on hold, I will, put on speakerphone and I'll do the gathering exercise.
Nice.
If you have more time, or you can do it outside, anytime, any place, anywhere, it's a little tool you can do to come back to your body, come back to the moment, and gather, freshness, fresh, refresh,
Mm,
and gather vitality. Super short.
beautiful.
It's like a minute to teach it. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. Good. Well, if we have time, maybe I might ask you to do it at some point. And also maybe it's just this is a little teaser for the 5-day event, because I'm really wanting people to be able to explore that and experience that. Um, and when you're speaking, what was coming to mind for me, what is in my mind and my heart a lot is, I have a sweet neighbor he's a young man who's working at his PhD focused on climate change and mitigation processes for that. And he's been such a force in my community on so many levels. He's one of those rare people like yourself who's doing global work and local work, trying to marry those worlds as well. And he's been in a difficult place because he recently lost a woman who was also working on her PhD, and he had thought they would be they would be friends for life and colleagues in this work. She was 23. She's this beautiful bright light, and she committed suicide.
Oh.
And he's been holding that, for the last, and when I see him now, it's just I feel it so much. And it's been such a sobering, obviously, thing for him and for his community. And it's brought up so much soul searching around sometimes the toxicity of grad school, but also what people are carrying when they move toward this work and the ways that it's been approached historically. And one of the things this friend said to me that's really been, just continued to be kind of there, like ringing in my ears, is he said, the most valuable resource right now really is he called them the movers and the shakers, but the people who are really trying to create change, and their mental health and their well-being is the most precious thing that we need to be caring for. And I so heard that, and I so felt that, and I think you're embodying that as well in a way that we need. I have a beautiful cardinal right outside the window that's singing right now as I'm talking. It's very interesting. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This is such an important and tender place to feel into, because I think so many of us have been there, that have really, really in an embodied way looked down, or really felt the magnitude and what happens. I know what happened to me. I've definitely have been there at different places, actually, different gateways of my life, where I just think it's it's too much, right? It's a nervous system flood.
Mm-hmm.
how can it be, I can even like feel into the different moments, the full memories of these moments of, and feeling alone in it, right?
Mm,
And feeling like you can't, it's too much to bear, it's too much of a burden. And what I have come to understand and experience in an embodied, from an embodied place, is that it also, that separation and that disbelief, that grief puts us in touch with those places inside of ourselves
yes.
where we have been abandoned, where we've been, betrayed, where we have, whatever it is. Like for myself, I had an epic birth, just like and didn't remember. I didn't have the memories until my firstborn daughter. Um, and we get the memories when we're, if we need them, and when we need them,
Mm,
if it helps
mhm.
our integration. And so how helpful, it is to be able to understand the link between the outer separation and what allows, the behavior, and our inner separation. And for
Mhm.
all of it, and I always say the heart can hold it all, right? The heart, doesn't
Mm,
choose between grief or gratitude, good guys, bad guys. Will we survive or won't we? Does, or even does survival mean healing, right? We've all lost people. I've lost people very dear to me and have gone through that journey too, of like seeing an incredible healing journey that didn't end in a life continued, right? And so it's like
mhm.
the heart can hold it all. And we become in it's interesting in how we're growing, and
Yeah.
also the healing piece that I've really experienced in working, especially somatically, myself and with clients, is that loving presence, and that, deeper awareness to become aware of our separations and to love
Mm,
ourselves there, and to find compassion through understanding
mhm.
and curiosity. Because what happens is we usually brings us to a place where what was created through separation, we have an impulse to separate from it. I don't like that part of me.
Right.
That's not the
Right.
Diane I'm presenting. I don't want that abandoned little girl. Or I don't want that,
Right.
whatever it is. And to notice that that's the loop, and to reverse that by bringing a loving presence to that part of ourselves,
Mhm.
even if their worldview is this big or is, rooted in abandonment. We still
Yeah.
get to take care of that piece of ourselves. And I think that interweaving of, those pieces home, and it's not like first I need to be whole and then I can do the work. It's all,
Right.
it's all of it. And I think where we notice polarities of like yes or no, good or bad, can I continue or can't I? It's coming back to the heart and
Mm,
feeling it to heal it. And it's usually the middle way of like, yes, I can take one more step forward, or no, it's all too much, from this part of me, but there's another part of me that's still
mm,
okay. Even when
mm.
nothing's okay, something somewhere is okay. And one of my teachers,
Wow.
says, even if it's like your left toe, like there's something which is connected to earth, something, maybe just that I'm breathing, maybe it's that you're here, something.
Mhm.
I got a resource in my senses. Where do I want to look? Out the window, what can I smell? What can I see?
Yeah.
And not underestimate that power of, of resourcing through our senses, but also
Mhm.
that healing power to recognize that it's not just what's in front of us, it's what's in us and how painful
Yeah.
that is. And in
Mhm.
that reconnect, we do break through to new creativity and new energy to keep moving forward. And I think
Yeah.
one other piece that feels like it wants to come through from the heart right now is like, you know, even if this whole thing is going down, I've just finished a talk Climate to Me course. We have a Feminine Climate Renaissance tea time gathering tonight in my
Yeah.
community where we're going to feel into a lot of this. And um, even if I feel like this is really important piece, even if, my life is ending, your life is ending, life on Earth is ending. Like we do have to meet that, right? Or else we're bypassing and we're not as effective. I still want to represent the health that's
Yes.
here and also the spirit of what moves forward. And it is
Mhm.
quite spiritual, right? You need
Yeah.
you take it into a place of wholeness. It's more spiritual of what do I want to represent
Yeah.
moving forward, and I want to represent the health that's left in me, the health that is here on earth, that spring is rising here. We've got maple sap
I
boiling
saw
down.
that.
We've got buds bursting, and I can resource in that. Life wants to
Yes.
be happy. Life wants to be healthy in me and you and our communities on earth, and compassion for humans. Like my poor
Yes.
daughter is,
Yes.
sometimes these climate change curriculums are rolled out, not maybe developmentally appropriate, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe not trauma informed.
Exactly.
And we can end up feeling like,
Yes.
oh, I'm the bad species, I'm the
Yes.
ones, or I want to take a
Absolutely.
picture in nature with no people in it,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
that's important to realize how amazing humans are, that we come this far with our, one of four mammals that use tools,
Yeah.
and that wanting to make things work comfy and cozy and workable, and yet we kept studying and growing our awareness so much that we had we recognized that it's not working for a planet, and there's a lot of us that are trying to repair that, so that
Yeah.
we can have compassion for
Yeah.
us too,
Mm-hmm.
to stop the othering and just what can I do. So we're going to do some
Yeah.
of that tonight. What can I do?
Oh, what can I do? Yes. Oh, thank you. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, there's just so much in what you're saying that resonates so deeply. And there's so many, um, just that compassion for the human. Because I think for me too, with my background in wildlife biology, and for, many years, I was so like you, like so many of us, that there was that question. I remember that point in my life as well, where I actually recognize we might not make it, like what you're saying, like as a species, or, we don't know. Like I'd always been an idealist, and then I just knew enough, and I was connected enough, that I just had that feeling of, like, that moment of this, nothing's guaranteed, just like in our own personal lives. Of course, we're all going to die, like and it was a reckoning. And I think what was most difficult for me at that time as well was also that feeling that I had also kind of received, or I'd kind of been experiencing, that there was something wrong with humans, just innately. There was just something wrong with us. Um, and we were some kind of aberration, right? And that added to the heartbreak and the grief. And I think at that time is when I started learning, I started studying. I'd already always studied Indigenous perspectives and work with Indigenous communities, but I hadn't felt and seen that animistic perspective in my ancestors, or people in my life who weren't Native. And so then I started learning, this is while I was in grad school in Montana, I started learning about bioregionalism and about permaculture design. And suddenly my mind and my heart opened to the possibility that we as a species could actually, like, we could actually benefit the earth. Like, and that was radical. For me, that was like this huge opening. It was just so big, because the main narratives I've been hearing up to that point, and kind of was, we have to conserve these wild places, humans need to be kept out of them, which of course is, there's realness there, but that more separation. And yeah, I so feel you in terms of that, that compassion in the big picture of what you're describing, of who we are and where we've come to. And again, what I'm loving so much about what I hear from you is such deep compassion and empathy for all the parts, and also deep resonance around the, my earth, the earth and the human as the same. We are and it's a shamanic principle too. It's like the earth and our bodies are the same thing. And I think that that recognition is so vital for the movement. And I honestly, and I don't know if you do this or feel this, but there's so much about, I feel, the people who are kind of in the front lines trying to affect policy or anything like that, that they need these tools. They need the support and being able to work with it in all these levels. Not sure what's
Yeah.
going on with this. Yeah, but in any case, thank you for everything you're saying. I'm so appreciating the holistic view.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The resiliency. I think we need,
resilience.
that's our resiliency,
Yeah.
is that piece exactly, is
Mhm.
knowing that where I'm othering, where I'm shaming and blaming,
Yeah.
that lives in me, that reflection. And it's a difference between not saying, oh, yes, then these behaviors are understandable or fine. It's like saying no, like those boundaries of like no to this behavior, but still at the same time, yes to love, which,
Yeah.
is a powerful lesson for me in conscious parenting, as a parent,
Mm,
is that I can say, and I notice it even with my parents, or, you know, um, that no was really a disconnect. No, a lot of us
mm,
received no as almost a break in bond, like
yes.
because it comes, with authority,
Yeah.
and there's no love in the no, and
Yeah.
so I think we're learning that comes up in us too, where, how do we say no to the behavior, whether it's
Mhm.
the way I'm treating myself, way, noticing the way I'm talking to myself, right? It's
Mhm.
often our inner voices are the ones that were outside of us when we were little.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that was the way. There's a lot of shame and blame. So naturally, the looping of that intergenerational, transgenerational trauma is, of course, going to look a lot like we're bad, there's something wrong with us, and it's all going to lead in separation.
Right, right, right.
Which
Yeah,
makes
exactly.
sense. And we all know that story. I'm
Right.
interested in taking care of those places, and from that wholeness, what we can vision and co-create together is unknowable, right?
It's
It's quite
unknowable. Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, it's
Um,
exciting.
once I'm not coming from separation,
Yeah.
that's scarcity, but
Yeah.
abundance is wholeness, and abundance is infinite. So
Yeah,
that's an exciting place to be
it
working,
is.
right?
Absolutely. And I think miracles are possible there. I mean, I know they are. When you start to work in this kind of reality, it's like, yeah, we don't know what's possible. I mean, I believe that the solutions that are coming, that are emerging, are beyond what we can imagine when we are integrated and coherent, which is what I feel with you, is integrated, coherent, weaving all these different fields together, which is, I think that's um I'm in wonderment. I love to see the way you embody that, because yeah, that coherence, it's beautiful. And I think that more and more people are waking up and becoming integrated in these ways.
Mhm.
um so I wondered, I'm thinking maybe in a little bit, there's so many things we could talk about. I do want to just look at your chart really briefly, because it's part of what I love to do with the Earth Sky women that I speak with, to kind of weave in the archetypes. I love to see embodied these qualities in this way. So I'm going to look at, is it okay to share your chart?
Yeah,
Okay. And part of what I love to do with this too, and let me see, is it AM or PM? I wasn't sure about that.
it was AM. Yeah, AM.
AM. Okay, that's what I've gotten. Okay, so all right, beautiful. Okay, so right now we're just looking at Cara Luna. I'm so glad you're here. We're looking at Diane's chart. And before we even talk about this astrology chart, I want to say that from the perspective of Venus, a lot of the work I do in astrology is looking at the Venus cycle and a person's Venus signature or blueprint. You were born into the Leo cycle. And what I've found is that from the frame of Venus alchemy and the work I've done with that, um, I've found people who were born in that cycle, and those born in the cycles before you were born into the Virgo cycle. So you were born into the first Leo cycle after 100 years of Venus being in the sign of Virgo. So I feel like there's still an imprint of that, because a lot of the environmental leaders that I love and adore, from Vandana Shiva to Bill McKibben to many others, have that signature of being born in this cycle. And for them, they're a little older than you. When Venus shifted into Leo, which was the cycle you were born into, um, there's a way that then they began to kind of step into their leadership. But there's something about many individuals, I think, who are very bright and very much on the world stage, who are embodying care for the climate in a new way, that were born into this Venus cycle. And within that, I think it's awesome. You were an evening star, as you may already know, and you were born not very long after Venus had moved out of the beams of the sun. So she's in the stories with Inanna, the work that we do with Venus. You would have been born right after the root chakra gate activation. So really close to the heart of the sun, really close to the underworld, really close to interestingly, the ground, in a sense. So the root chakra would have been big for you. And also, again, the Leo being someone who's here to shine as a beacon, with that Virgo kind of emphasis of being the priestess who's here to be in service to the earth. So it's interesting, like, just seeing those little layers with this. And yeah, I love to look at your chart and just see your Venus is in Leo also. Your moon is in Sagittarius. Um, I mean, and do you work with astrology very much? Is this something you connect with?
What's amazing that we're doing this right now, because astrology has always been around me, and like it just, any teacher that has ever found me in an awakening or in a transition place, um, they're always my first teacher was a sidereal astrologist, like just
Mhm.
hand drawn charts, like just beautiful, incredible work. And and it wasn't something that I followed or was drawn to myself, and is always there
It's
informing
always
me
there.
until Venus. Until Venus in
Okay.
the last few years, where when I birthed this community, um, it was really I this embodied my experience of astrology has always been embodied, and then I would find out after. And so now is the first time really with following the Venus cycle that so many illuminations are coming to me, and I feel it's so helpful. And so I'm
Mm.
incorporating some of that, just following the Venus cycle in my own community now, because
Oh,
it was really
beautiful.
Venus that I actually had to look it up. I thought, what is that planet? I feel like it's moving me from the heart to do this, and it
Oh,
was Venus, so that relationship is there.
wow.
And so really the beginning of me really starting to understand my embodied experience, and so supportive, that I've been inspired to start to share that, to start to follow that in my own community. So
Mm.
it's very synchronous that we're talking about it right now.
It is, of course. Well, and it's so fascinating to hear you say that because, is it Sasha? Is it Jamie that you're working with?
But
Or
well, so Jamie comes into our Let Love Win
okay.
women's community to do planetary check-ins,
Mhm.
and Sasha Rose, I was a part of a couple of years ago now, her first Venus,
Ah,
the journey.
okay.
Um,
Awesome.
yeah, so which just was amazing.
That's so incredible to me, because what's fascinating to me about that is that in my life I've kind of had two worlds. It's like I had my more earth oriented life, and then I had the Venus and the astrology life. And I've felt those as two very separate things. And what I love about what you're saying is that it's such a confirmation that I've felt for some time, but I hadn't been able to weave yet, which is that these two dynamics work together, well. So I love knowing that, and that working with the Venus mysteries has helped you in your work, because it is so powerful. So
Hmm.
there's a bit of a different frame with our systems. They're very much related, but yeah, to be able to see Venus in your chart, and I had it at a different weird house system, but to see all of this, and also to see, because yeah, you're just barely out of the underworld, like you're so close to the heart of the sun. Just so
Hmm.
interesting. So just freshly initiated goddess, right? On a
Yeah,
level.
which really it makes a, which I resonate with because I've my whole life it's, from the heart, it's like being the bridge, right?
Mhm.
And whether it is, modern medicine and, homeopathy, like I'm everything. It's like, am I gonna continue with even studying? I even was going to grad school for like heart anatomy, physiology, and cardiac rehab. Like I've been on
Wow.
rotations, right, as a med student doing these, and it just kept becoming the next layer until it's
Mm.
all of it, right? Metaphysical,
Yeah.
and how it all bridges together, and how the bridge is where the alchemy happens, right? Not this way, that way, but moving forward together. And that's the way my mind works. And to be able to, Venus to me is not out there. It's like, it's the feminine rising. It's the
Mm.
heart. It's that integration of both, and embracing the paradox, right? Being
Mm.
able to
Mhm.
hold it all. And I feel like that's so important for this time and this age. Um, and my experience of the underworld is like, it's not like necessarily, that deep dark, whatever shadow
Right.
where we have this. I To me, my program is like triggers our treasures. And I've
Yeah.
found ways with somatic work to make it enjoyable, and exciting. So for me, I get excited about trauma,
Yes.
and I think
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm like, oh, I wonder what you're gonna get back, like what will the treasure be. And
Yeah.
ways to do it without re-traumatizing ourselves, to just be able to open the
Mm.
space for the connections to be made, and
Beautiful.
that the alchemy behind, Venus being out of view to us where we're standing, but it's actually like she's in a new light, like like it's beyond. It's like
Yes.
it feels very, really like a rebirth potential for me. So
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
I'm just on the way out, so I
Yeah.
have the wisdom, I'm like, okay, through it,
Yes.
it's fine.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think from the beginning, when I first fell in love with this cycle in 2010 and started guiding women through it, it was like, that was the biggest piece. It was the riddle of you're in the underworld from the human perspective because you can't see Venus, but from her perspective, she's in the heart of great mystery. She's in the heart of,
Yes. Yeah.
she's in that bright light
Yes.
that is, yeah. And I love that you say that from the perspective of the one who just emerged from it. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's fresh. I can really, it's still
Oh,
embodied,
oh,
so.
beautiful. That is, I love that so much. So Regina's had her hand up. Regina, did you want to ask a question or add something?
Wanted to add something. So, one of the things that I'm picking up from Diane is her extraordinary ability to communicate
Mm.
difficult or I don't want to say obscure, but maybe not mainstream kind of ideas. So I'm looking, and I don't know if I can see this well enough or not, but it looks to me like Venus is with using the whole house system. It's at the very, very end of the 12th house. So that would fit. Is that, am I seeing this right, Tammy?
Yes, from the whole sign system. Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
house. Yeah.
And is it 26 or 28?
26.
Okay. And uh, so conjunct, I don't see how you could get away from the conjunct with the whole house system, which means they're almost, you can't separate them. They're just, but naturally like that.
Mhm.
So that's your Mercury, that's your communication. I
Mm.
think that's what pops for me.
Thanks, Regina. Yeah, yeah, that there's Mercury, and Mercury's right there. I mean, not too far from the east. It's rising in the east, right? So yeah, it's like right there visible, rising in the morning sky. Um, yeah, yeah, that's amazing. Thanks for bringing that up, Regina. That's awesome. Isn't it fun to have us talk about your chart,
Yeah,
Diane?
it is. It's all very, there's a lot of synchronicity because I just had a conversation with my husband. I wrote an essay for one of my professor's books, That's coming out. And my topic I chose was animal encounters.
Mm,
And it was really difficult what I was trying to articulate of my experience of these experiences I was having after, 7, you know, uh, canoe trips, a 7-trip summer, in the
mm,
Arctic, of starting to have these incredible encounters where I was available, or, maybe more merged with the landscape, and trying to bring words to something that's so pre-verbal.
mm,
I
mhm.
find myself in that situation a lot, um, so that really, yeah, that resonates for me. Thank you for that
Mm,
reflection.
awesome. Yeah, beautiful. I have to say one other thing. There's an asteroid I'm deeply in love with, and that's Hygeia. And I've done a lot of deep work with her with groups who are, because I marry dreaming in astrology and do kind of dream archaeology that way. And Hygeia to me is she is an integrator, and she is with your sun within 4 degrees. So also it feels like, she's the one who helps us weave the worlds and bridge the worlds. And um, yeah, she's the one who supports us with a more holistic way of being. And so, yeah, I just love that she's also with your son. So fun. All right. I'm going to close this now because, we could spend a long time on this and we only have so much time with you. Actually, we're almost in an hour. So, I mean, there are a million more things, but I guess before we close, maybe do you want to talk a little bit more about your community and about the 5 days, just so everybody knows
Yeah.
a little more about that. And then if we have just a minute, like a couple minutes I don't know if we have time for Q&A. You've got to get done here at 10. Well, yeah, let's see.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I have. Well, I'm here. I'm the founding director of HeartWood Healing Arts Center, which is our eco-wellness center for healing arts and sustainable living. And I am also the founder of the Global Women's Let Love Win movement and community. So that's just a beautiful safe space where we're really just like, how can we keep our hearts open, um, and to be available, in these ever changing times. And in that space, we have tea time. We have tea time gatherings, for sharing circles. We have women of heart, amazing guest speakers. I'm thinking, Tammy, maybe I'm feeling like we could have a really good conversation that
So
matters. We call
fun.
it conversations that matter.
Mhm.
And there's Jamie comes in and does. Jamie Lee Goldstein comes in and does our planetary check-ins, which are fun. Also, also a tea time, and there's embody movement, and so it's all of those things. How do we stay resourced? How do we
Yeah.
stay on the inside of our relationship to ourselves and each other and the planet? And how do we stay and keep inviting ourselves to be embodied? So there's that. And I teach Qigong online and in person, and certify instructors. That feels like an important weave to keep bringing the
Mhm.
vitality and sharing the vitality at a time like this. And my daily, like today when we tried to make this happen, often what I'm doing is I'm running my somatic accelerated melt program, which are integration sessions, which are beautiful sessions, which are just my passion, which is melting,
Mm.
helping all of us melt through to more love and life and wholeness and authenticity and expression. So there's that. And starting tomorrow, Earth Day, I have a 5-day challenge to let love win. And I call it a heroine's journey, because it really is, it really is to keep taking that next heart first step in these times requires a lot. And so it is about, tools. And the whole idea, I am a busy mama myself, homesteading and all of it. And I take that really to heart, being conscious and present. And so for me, I have teachers who have these, incredible, epic practices. And as in the rising divine feminine, for me, it needs to be in the ease and flow of my
Yeah.
actual life, not
Yeah.
my great idea of it. And so it's 15 minutes each
Yeah.
day for 5 days.
Yeah.
How can we commit to little practices that have huge impact on our well-being, slowing us down, presencing to, what is there, because it wants to be met and heard, and it wants to, health wants to happen. Practice to increase vitality, some embodied movement, ancient embodied movement, and even some writing exercises. So it's a little bit of everything.
Nice. Nice.
In 15 minutes a day for 5 days. And the last day, I know people, we all kind of sign up for things and then it kind of like, I'll do the replay. I know for myself, I'm like, if I wasn't there,
Yes.
it didn't
Yes.
happen. So the last day is, I probably should have done it the other way around, but the last day there's a really powerful meet and melt and move, something that comes up for you that you presence to. So
Awesome.
yeah, all of that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much
Thank you. So
for
excited. Yeah.
following the flow today and reaching out. This is amazing.
Yeah. Thank you too so much. Yeah. So, and I think you're going to need to hop off, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Have I have a somatic. I'm still. I'm loving somatic attachment. And like those therapies. So I just keep
Amazing.
learning and learning. I'm learning.
I
I learn
bet.
so much about myself through everything that I study.
Wow.
So that
Incredible.
starts soon.
Oh, so for those who've attended today and who listen later, we're just so excited you're here and so excited for the next 5 days and to be able to reach out to you and just thank you for everything you're doing. It's so exciting and I'm really excited for the next 5 days. So,
Yeah,
all right.
me too. Yeah, this is
Okay.
such a beautiful space. Thank you,
Yeah.
Tammy. Thank you,
Thank
all
you
you
so
beautiful,
much.
wild-hearted women
Yes.
for joining hearts. This has been so
Yes.
fun.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much. So much love. All right.